And then they start the season in Philadelphia versus the Eagles.
I'm going to have them losing to the Eagles. I think first week of the season, maybe some nerves there, but they'll start to get their rhythm.
Okay. And then they host the Indianapolis Colts.
And I'm going to have them beating the Colts there. I think that they will get the win there.
And then they go to Tennessee and face off against the Titans.
See, I think this is a game that maybe they might be favorites in, but I do think the Titans are going to be a tough out. So I think this is a game that they can lose, and I'll take the Titans to win this game.
All right. So starting out 1-2, and then they face off against the Minnesota Vikings at home. I had the Packers sweeping the Vikings in our Vikings preview there.
Yep, and I think that they're going to sweep the Vikings as well. So I will continue with that narrative and beating the Vikings.
All right, so not bad, looking pretty good at 2-2 here, and then they go to LA to face the Rams and the high flying offense.
That high flying offense, that could be potentially a tough game. I think if it was later in the season, I would go Packers, but I'm going to pick Sean McVay to outcoach Matt LaFleur.
Okay, Coach Eyebrows getting out coached there. He's currently 2-3, and then he goes back home versus the Arizona Cardinals.
And I do think they beat the Cardinals there. As much as we love Murr from Impractical Jokers, don't think that they can overcome the Packers.
All right, and then they host the Houston Texans.
Texans are going to be really good. I think they could potentially be the best team in the league, and I think that they take care of the Packers, even though they are at Lambeau.
Okay, so they are currently 3-4, and then they take their talents to Jacksonville.
Yep, and I do think that they beat the Trevor Lawrence's beloved Jaguars there in Jacksonville. Potentially 3 or 4 people getting to bear witness to this game.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people will be there in Jacksonville with all the senior citizens in that city there. And then we have the Lions and the Packers.
I think the Lions and Packers are probably going to split. Um, because of where the Packers are at this point, I will take the Lions to get the win. I think later in the season is when the Packers get their revenge.
Okay, so currently starting out 4-5, then they take their talents to Chicago to face the Bears.
And I believe I had the Packers winning, if I remember correctly. I think they'll split with the Bears as well. So I'm going to pick them to beat the Bears.
All right, and then the Packers facing off against the San Francisco 49ers at home.
I do think that this is a game the Packers win. I'll take them to beat the 49ers and getting revenge.
Okay, so we are currently 6-5 right now for the Packers. Not bad, not bad. And then they face the Miami Dolphins at home. Dolphins can't really beat a team with a winning record.
I was going to say 6-5. I believe that's a above 500 record. So due to that knowledge there and, Tua's record against winning teams, the inevitable happens. Packers beat the Dolphins.
All right, so now we're picking it up 7-5 here in Detroit, facing off against the Lions.
And this is where I do think the Lions get their revenge.
Or the
Actually, I had the
Packers.
Lions beating them the other time around, so I think that they get their revenge against the Lions as they start to heat up towards the end of the season.
All right, so Packers are now 8-5, kind of following a similar trend of last season. And then they go to Seattle to face Sam Howell and the Seahawks.
They should, keyword should, beat the Seahawks there.
All right, and then after that, they face off against the Saints.
I think that there's a loss within the next 3 games. So I actually have them losing against the Saints in a game that they should have won. But somehow the Saints make it happen. Right now they're what, 10-4?
Yeah, so if they lose to the Saints, they would be 9-6.
9-6. Okay. I'll take them winning against the Saints, and then down the road, I think they'll lose a game.
Okay, and they face the Vikings after that.
And I do think they beat them there.
Okay, so then they would be 11-5, and then they face against the Chicago Bears. Maybe that's their loss there.
Yep, and that's where I think they lose. I think Chicago gets the win.
Okay, so that would bring the Packers to 11-6, the Bears at 10-7, and the Vikings at 5-12. So that would make sense that Packers still slightly one game above the Bears there.
I think that's completely appropriate given the new regime in Chicago and then the Packers continuing their continuity.